guys. Today we're going to be using a scrubby little brush because I'm going to give Proraso one more chance. It has given me flimsy, weak lathers, but serviceable. But what I've felt between my fingers is just inferior. It's Proraso Red. It's not the super formula, which I've heard is a new formula they've come out with. It's the one that's been around for a good many years. This is also going to be the third time I'm going to be using my Kai blade, one of the popular choices in the blade voting that I did on, that I have a Google form for. And it looks like 13 is the number of today's shave on this blade. I'm going to be using the HD, I think it's the HD 500 vintage Gillette. And this one is made in the UK. I thought it was. And this represents just kind of a medium range shaver. I have used this Kai with a couple of smooth razors, and this one's a little bit more in the mid-range. I'm interested to see how the Kai treats it. This is the Semogue Torga C5 in premium boar bristle. It's been soaking for several minutes, so that should be fine. I'm going to go ahead and put it back in the water. We're just going to load the heck out of this soap because I've tried backing off of the water and the soap is still real flimsy. But while my hands are dry, let us put the Kai razor blade in the razor. Kais have no markings. I put the M on there for marathon because I'm going to see how many uses I can get out of this Kai blade. But other than that, it's totally void of markings. It's a nice girth on this handle, nice weight to it. Got my face wet, and now time to load. I think I'm going to load for a minute. Started at 42. It's a good number. Bear Stearns Man has a scent called 42 because that was the answer to the question of life, the universe, and everything in the movie Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. This is a scrubby brush, and so I'm probably overloading, but I figure let's shoot a lot higher than we might want and see what we get. I'm not going to be using this soap very much, so if I'm wasting it, I don't care. 10 more seconds for a minute load. And there we go. Rinse off the puck. All right. Before, I think I did maybe a 50-second load or so, and I used 2 teaspoons of water. It was still a weak, flimsy lather. It was serviceable. The razor did glide on my face, and I was protected, but just very unimpressive when you're kind of feeling of it with your fingers. I realize you don't shave with your fingers, but I mean, it's just telling of what kind of lather it is. So many better options. So this is kind of pasty quick, and that's okay. Start adding water. Maybe with this much loading, maybe 2 teaspoons is all I'll add. I'll just have to see. like this lather quality very much, but I tell you, I love the scent of this sandalwood. So that's 2 teaspoons added. Just see what the lather looks like with that. I definitely wanted to move on to a different soap, but I kind of wanted to put the Proraso to bed. So it's very dry. I never shave with a lather that's this dry. Feel of it. And I see there's a little bit of slickness. There's some creaminess to it. Doesn't stick around very long. Rinse is real easy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more water. Half a teaspoon. So this is not like a soap where I have to make a personal note to load or to run it a little drier than usual. This is one where I have to add a personal note to run it way drier than usual. Or load 4 times as long as usual or something like that. Yeah, see, that's feeling like a real lather. You just have to keep the water away from it, relatively speaking, from my perspective. Somebody commented on YouTube that they load lots of soap and lots of water. Well, I agree with lots of soap. But if you like it the way I like mine, you do not load lots of water. Like, I'm going to put 3 teaspoons in here. And that's the average amount of water that I will add for a lather. But usually the load is about 20 seconds. Whereas this load is a full minute. All right. We'll go for it here. All right. Let's see, get my face wet, pause ya. And this is a young boar brush. That's one of the reasons why it's very scrubby. And I just wanted a brush that was gonna pick up tons of soap. With this last try with Proraso. I ran the Proraso a couple days ago. Hydrating it enough to where it was beautifully elastic, like most of the other soaps that I use. Wet, but still a little bit creamy. And while it looked the part, it was way, way, way too wet. Barely working as a lather in terms of slickness. I will also say again that I do think that if you purchase this soap at the Amazon type prices of $11 or $15, I think you're overpaying. But if you get it at the price of TJ Maxx or Marshalls or Home Goods, you know, those kind of stores, Ross maybe, then that's sometimes $5, maybe, might be worth it then. Oh man, it's working great. The Kai inside this razor, it's a little more vocal than sometimes I, like to have one, but man, so far it's very comfy. Just moving, slicing through those hairs very easily. I don't even feel any kind of tugging sensation at all. "24 hours since my last shave." Very good. Pause you for the rinse. It does rinse very easily, kind of like there's nothing there. I did not really feel like that was too thick, too dry. So this looks like maybe a lather. You just kind of, a soap you need to, load really heavy. At least for my type of shaving. And because it doesn't need very much water, it might make it handy for folks that need a fast shave in the morning. You're not going to have to spend very much time figuring out integrating that water, Yeah, so far, and there's not very much residual slickness. So you will probably want to re-lather an area before going back over it. Pause you for the rinse. There's no luxury feel here. It feels a little creamy to the touch, but in terms of on your face, it just rinses off so quickly that it's, if you're looking for that kind of experience, you're better off looking for another soap. However, it's serviceable. To be honest, I'd probably rather use Williams. Slickness is crazy good with Williams. But I can also see why beginners like it, because it's easy to lather, because it doesn't take a lot of water. They put a hint of water at it, and you've got a lather you can shave with. But I think a lot of guys are missing out on some amazing face feels and slickness type experience. The creaminess, if they stick with just Proraso, it's kind of like keeping the training wheels on your bicycle, in my opinion. The Kai is doing wonderfully in this razor. It's a great matchup. Now with a sharp blade like the Kai, sometimes you need to wait till the third pass before you start talking about whether it's irritating you or not. Because sometimes blades like it will build up irritation. It'll feel great at first, and then gradually you will feel, hey, wait a minute. But I'm not getting any irritation at all. This is a very nice user of the kite blade. Really happy with that. Pretty good shave result. A few hairs that are left with a little bit of length on them, but generally, really happy with the shave today. And a minute load, and I only have this much lather left. Maybe 2 passes, and with a 30-second load of most other soaps, higher quality soaps, or I should say most other soaps, which also happen to be higher quality soaps, I have the same amount left over after a 30-second load. So I believe a product like STirling, Storybook, any of those guys, Haslinger, are going to give you better bang for your buck. This soap material does feel a little bit whipped up, where STirling and the other ones are more dense. So they're probably going to give you more shaves per volume, per tub, that sort of thing. Anyway, it's serviceable, smells great, it's got that going for it. So here's how this little guy looks after the shave and after a good towel stropping to dry it off. He's maybe slowly opening up a little bit. Nice little scrubby guy. I'm looking forward to seeing what that tip splitting is going to do after we've put a good number of shaves on him. I also chose an aftershave today that has a little bit of menthol in it. And so the main notes of Stubble Buster Game are tangerine, sequoia, and sage. This one is one by Stubble Buster that I believe it was inspired by another cologne scent. I don't know which one. Since it's warm right here and I am actually sweating a little bit because of the broken AC, I'm getting a little bit of stinging, but that's gone, so that didn't take too long. A little bit of menthol here, maybe give me a little bit of a cooling feel. It's definitely causing my eyes to burn a little bit. All right. I'm going to clean up my gear. I ended up using 3 teaspoons of water with a 1-minute load of Proraso. So it looks like that's a secret. I'm glad that I did this shave here to cap off the run with Proraso. I think I did 3 other shaves before. First one, kind of a normal load, and 4 teaspoons or 4.5 teaspoons of water to where it looked right, and it was way too wet and flimsy and almost useless. Then I backed off to about the halfway point, adding just 2 teaspoons of water for about as much loading as that. It was still flimsy, wet, putting it between your fingers. You just didn't feel anything. Then there was a shave I was doing in the morning when I was running a little bit late for work, and so it was just a quickie 7-minute shave. And Proraso did pretty well with that because it looks like it doesn't need as much water. So it pretty quickly gave me a shaveable lather for a face lathering. And so those are the 3 that were precursors to this one. So here we overloaded, according to what I usually load with normal soaps. And that got me where I was able to experience a kind of a creamy lather. Not a luxury feel. Not a luxury type of creaminess. It rinses away quickly, that sort of thing. But at least now I can kind of talk about what it takes to have Proraso give you a decent lather. And that's what I was going for. All right, time to put the gear away. And there we go. We're all done. Pretty quick shave. Just under the 20-minute mark to take care of business, including cleaning up afterwards. So I hope there was something in this one that is going to help you out. I'm really glad to be able to say to new people who might be using Proraso, get used to it. be able to say that I personally had to load for about a minute to get Proraso to work well for me. I could go a little bit less because, as you saw, I had a little bit more lather left over at the end of the shave. But, 50 seconds maybe. And so then I could tell people, for an equivalent, I would load, STirling for 20 seconds. And I think that's useful information for guys just starting out. All right. There we go. I think we're good. Cooling sensation, nice on the face. I still don't think it's all that refreshing. I'm in a warm, humid environment right now, and my menthol is working on my face, and it's not all that refreshing, at least to me, but I can see why guys kind of do it. There we go. We got it done. So that's the end of Proraso. We'll pick something else, and I think we'll put the Kai on pause as well. The kibosh on the Kai. And we'll pick another razor. I think maybe the Vashkod might have been the third place in terms of the voting online. I will try to remember to put the URL for the voting in the description of the video in case you guys want to keep voting if you haven't already. If you can't remember whether you have or not, go ahead and vote again. I will find your old entry, delete it, and keep your newest one. All right. Man, Proraso is such a dichotomy. I'm so disappointed in the performance of the soap. I love that red sandalwood scent. That sandalwood is just so, it seems to be really authentic to me, and I really like that. So there we go. Good and bad on this one. But the razor there, it was so nice with the Kai. Big win there. A little bit audio feedback, so it must not be clamping down on the blade. Super tight, really close to the edge. Must be a little bit of room there for a little bit of vibration to happen. The brush felt nice. It's a little scrubby guy, but he's pretty soft and comfy, not scritchy or scratchy at all. All right, guys, you take care. Have a good night. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves.